Starting early today. I'm going to check my signal here real quick, and then we're going to dive into this. We're making map assets for an Eberron adventure that's going to be publishing on DMsGuild. So give me a second here for me to check my signal, and we'll get into this. So let's see. I've just posted that I am live on Twitter. If you want to keep track on Twitter, you can follow me at Phil Kearney, as it's spelled down below. I'm going to punch through my Discord alerts here real quick, and then we're going to jump into this. Hey, my name is Phil. I create RPG supplement PDFs. I've been investing most of my effort into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. You can check in the description down below a slew of work that I have previously created that is currently live on DMsGuild. Between all those like 7 or 8 books that are listed there, there's about 150 some odd illustrations. So, and if you click on them, on mobile phone, there's an eye icon on the right hand side, and if you're on desktop or tablet, on each of the individual book pages, there is the book cover on the left hand side, and then underneath that it says full preview. So if you either click at the eye or the free preview, you're going to be able to look at a PDF of all of those books, 100% free preview. There's about 150 illustrations between the lot of them. So whether you're just an art enthusiast or if you're a D&D fanatic like myself, you can check out all the work. If you like it, certainly encourage you to purchase some of it. But more so than anything right now, for us to be able to build the channel and for me to be able to monetize all the art and map assets that we create here on stream, best way to do that is to like, subscribe, hit the bell, keep track with me. And we're going to dive into, this is the Crystals of Mabar. It's going to publish on the DMsGuild. It'll be 100% free preview as everything else is down below. It's an adventure in Eberron for 7th or 8th level characters. It could be ran as a one-shot, or you can have maybe about 15 some odd, 20 hours worth of adventure, depending on how much you want to play it out. This is the underground necromancy lab that we have been developing. Here, I'll give you here's your grid. It's a 74-inch by 74-inch super map I'm a big Roll20 enthusiast, so it'll appear there. If you are not so much, if you're an old schooler and you want to be at your tabletop, but you don't want to kill yourself with the costs, this is just the bare bone basic map information as just black line art that you can we'll cut it up into 55 like I think it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's like 30. It'll end up being 30 pages of 10 inches by 14 inches. We'll have to measure it out. But we'll break this thing up so that you can use a laser printer and make it super easy for you, as long as you got a stack of legal size pages to print it out on. But I am a huge Roll20 enthusiast, so I build these things to be placed on Roll20. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to hide the grid to make it more fun to look at, and we can always throw in the grid later. Here's a tainted flooded region of the dungeon that we've been working on, and you can see that we have this stone texture stuff that we got going on. So I'm going to work on. I'm just going to work on wall textures a little bit more today. I think I've only got about an hour today. We got some stuff going on here on my home front that's going to require my attention this evening. So everything should be okay. It's a priority. So I've got 20 minutes on the block. I've got an hour of production. It may end up being less if I get a shout. I may have to just kill stream real quick and go deal with real life. So let's just enjoy our time together while we can. We'll switch up into our scratch brush here, which has got the spin function. So we're going to use it to create interesting language like this. It sounds like I've got somebody's car alarm going off outside, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to basically just create some texture static, basically. So hey, Hornetica, it's good to see you, my dude. Yeah, we're just kind of messing around with this stuff right now. So I'm going to actually do some of this. So I've been changing the language of the texture that we've got going on inside here, and I want to continue playing with that. The water's coming along pretty nicely. It'll be done soon. I just want to get this same sort of language splashed through here, and then I can work on the opacity of different levels, and then work on a water sheen, and then that'll be it for the water. And then the rest of the stuff is just more gravel, grit, and textury stuff on the ground and the wall surfaces that we've played with before on other maps. So this is getting to be pretty straightforward work for me here. So, but I don't have a lot of time tonight, so we'll see how far we can get with the time that we got. I do streams in the morning every day for 2-ish hours, and we've been doing Spelljammer ship asset production lately, and we'll do that some more tomorrow. On Mondays and Thursday nights, we do asset production. Currently, we've been doing Eberron cartography for the past couple weeks. We might flip-flop. Occasionally I flip-flop which project's being worked on in the morning and which one's being worked on the weeknights. And we also have a Saturday stream. This Saturday we're going to be working on page layouts for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we've been building all the ship assets for. So you are most welcome to kick with us Saturday morning. Hey, Knack, good to see you, my dude. And so we are just going to do this. I think it might be pretty fortuitous that circumstances in my life are working out the way they are right now, because I've considered starting earlier, doing these streams earlier. Normally I do them at 7 o'clock Seattle time, which is like 10 o'clock East Coast time. This is 5:30 my time that we fired up the engine today. So we will see if how that behavior changes. But yeah, we are here. No less than 16 hours a week streaming different assets, and as we move through one project, we pick up new ones, we resolve old ones, we publish the older the content that we had been working on, and you know, until it's done, and then we move on. So let's see. NAC, how many streams now have you been working on just the water in the singular dungeon? On this dungeon specifically, I think it was a good solid 10 episodes that I was just working on the water. Sometimes I kind of just get lost in my own little pool, you know? But I mean, I can't really argue with the results. So I like how they look. I think in the future, as I do more map assets, God's willing, I'll be able to punch through them a little bit more efficiently. These are the first, this is the first adventure that I've ever produced professionally, and these are the first map asset. That's not true. These are the first color map assets that I've produced for a professional adventure. The actual first map assets that I've ever produced for publication was in the Adventures in Chronomancy book that is available on DMsGuild from Realm Warp Studios, or Realm Warp Media. Ryan Langer, good guy. But so I'm clumsy and slow with the process. It's very, very different from like character commissions, you know, which have their own little vibe. But environments and character illustrations is probably the bulk of work that I've been paid to produce anyway. So it's a slow, clunky process, but we're almost done with the water, and it's a fun discovery process. And I guess in an era where everything is, I guess, picture perfect, it's kind of fun to make an ass out of myself on occasion online as I try to figure out how to do things and fail miserably at the process. So, cheers to legitimacy, yo. Sincerity is everything in the cyberpunk future. Here, there. I kind of like how that stuff just kind of like pokes about, you know? As much as I dislike spell slots, I'd like to ask you, do you think that spell slots could work for things that specifically aren't spells? If so, what would they be? I have my answer. You have your answer, but you want to hear mine. So, as much as you like spell slots, you'd like to ask, okay, sure. Yeah, obviously, I'm a huge mana spell point enthusiast. It is by far my favorite. But Vancian magic has been around forever. I'm certainly familiar with spell slots since the days of Yor and Beckme, the original D&D stuff back in the 70s. I've been playing since mid 80s, so I'm certainly familiar with it. Does it have a place outside of spell slots? Do you think could work for things that specifically aren't spells? Spell slots are a resource, just like everything else. They're called spell slots because you slot spells into them. Originally, you'd have X amount of spells that you could cast per day, and you would slot a specific spell to cast in each one of them. Kind of like how Pathfinder 2 uses prepared spell magic that you specifically, like if you have 15 slots, 3 each from level 1 to 5, then you'd pick 3 first level spells, 3 second level spells, etc. Specifically to fill each one of those slots. As the game has evolved, it's slid more into a loosey-goosiness of where you can prepare X amount of, or no X amount of spells, period. And then however many spell slots you have, you can spend on whatever spells it is that you've chosen to prepare. There's a number of different ways to slice and dice it, but that's the basic gist of it. So it's a resource. It's just a finite resource that scales with character power. Anything can be allocated to a slot system. Like, for example, if you're using 5e, the Battle Master could have an Eldritch Knight advancement where, like, you start at 3rd level with first level slots, and it eventually evolves up to 4th level slots at 19th level. So from level 1 to 19, you're accumulating higher level slots and more of them, typically 3 each. So you end up with around 23 levels worth of spell slots. So spell slots break up your power budget per use. If a spell pool or like mana was to be 23 spell points, and you could cast spells from level 1 to 4 every time you cast a spell, say a 3rd level spell, you burn 3 of those spell points. Now you're down to 20 points, and then if I wanted to cast a 2nd level spell, I'm down to 18 points at that point. But it can literally work on anything. The Martial Powers project that I work on Monday, and I have a playlist in my channel playlists selections. Martial Powers basically takes martial maneuvers and instant effects and reactions and movement boosts and convert those into a spell point system. But if I wanted to pre-budget things, you could say like a third, like say a 3rd level power or like a 3rd level exploit, for instance, could be like, what's a good one? If I grapple you and you fail your saving throw, you are now unconscious until somebody shakes you or deals damage to you, or you can make a wisdom check every half hour and wake up on your own. Otherwise, your character the creature just lays there unconscious. That as a 3rd level or 3rd rank ability. If you were to use spell slots, then it would use a 3rd level spell slot. And if out of your 23 it was a third level, if it was a third level maneuver that you were doing, then it would automatically burn off 3 points. But with a spell slot system, you would have maybe up to three spells or third level abilities per day. Like in this instance, we're talking about an Eldritch Knight or a warrior type. That would be around level 11 that you would have access to that, and you'd only be able to do it 3 times per day. So in that instance, if you're going to be dividing things up into spell slots where you are presetting how many times you can do something of a certain power level per day, then obviously you want to make sure that whatever it is that you're allocating that budget towards is going to be worth the expenditure. Continuing to use D&D as a comparison, a really popular third level spell is Haste, which allows you to deal extra attacks, move faster, have a better armor class, and gain additional action economy so that your character performs better, faster, yada yada. That is considered worth a third level spell or a third level spell slot. And say a 5th level wizard could do that 3 times per day. So if you're using, say, like a Swift Blade that has the haste ability built into them, then the problem that you would face there is that if I want to have haste as an ability, power budget would demand that it would click in when I gain access to those third rank powers, which in this case of, say, D&D, it's generally for a fighter like around 11th level, as opposed to a wizard, it'd be 5th level. So I think it has a place, but you really gotta know what you're doing with your system and how much value it is each thing that you're allocating. That it's a very, like when you have a spell point pool and you have like I said, like say 23 spell points and a third level power only costs 3 points. Only 3 points is really minimal. When you have 23 of them, you can do that thing like 7 times a day with some shit left over. But if it's a spell slot, you get it 3 times. Maybe if you like have upcasting options, then you could end up spending a 4th level spell slot. So instead of it being 3 points, it now costs 4 points to cast it. So if you're really trying to throttle constraint on different power spike levels, using spell slots for whatever resource, whatever you call them, and whatever the resource is, can be viable. I don't think D&D would be as successful using it in 5th edition if they didn't already have 50 years of legacy telling us what level each of these powers and spells are supposed to already be. If you're building something from scratch, I think you got to figure out what is your scale from minimal power to maximum power. In D&D, it's from 1 to 9. You really got to get a good grip on like how much value does this one power or spell or whatever, this effect, have in comparison to another effect, and are you properly balancing the cost? So yeah, if the desire is to have a very strong, strict control over how frequently different effects can be implemented in your game system, then spell slots or slots in general have a place. Just to compare that, the design direction that D&D has been heading lately has been the effect that you can trigger is basically like triggered on your proficiency bonus per rest, like per day, for instance. And like say an 11th level character has a +4 proficiency bonus, so that means that they could use it 4 times per day. At 11th level, that power or effect should be the equivalent of like that haste spell we were talking about earlier, which is a 3rd level spell that you can use 3 times per day at 11th level. And the rest of that thought, the rest of that thought is, yeah, you get at 11th level, you can use it 3 times a day. An 11th level fighter has a proficiency bonus of 11 +4, so they can use it 4 times per day. So if you're comparing apples to apples, whatever that effect is that you're giving them should be a little less powerful than haste, for instance. Or if it's an AoE effect, it should be a little less effective than, say, lightning bolt. Or they made fireball too powerful on purpose because it's iconic. They decided to scrap their own game balance system for name recognition, which I think is a horrible design decision. But hey, I don't work for Wizards. What do I know? So cheers to that. But that's my general philosophy on it. It requires a lot of control. It allows for a lot of control on what you have access to, the ability to do at all. But you really need to be up on what your power balance is for your character's advancement and each individual effect's advancement, which is why I like spell points so much, because it's super easy to be able to say this effect costs this many points and you can gain access to it at this level, but once you have access to it, you can dump your whole day into just doing that one thing that allows you to set up like one-trick horses or optimal action loops, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So then it becomes an issue of, are the options that I'm offering, are they all attractive? What you can do with spell slots is offer only a limited number of options that in general kind of suck. But what else are you going to do with your spell slot? Because it has this power budget, and the only things that they're offering us at this power budget is A, B, and C. A might be awesome, B and C might suck. But it's like, what else are you doing with the spell slot? Maybe A isn't always appropriate. So you just kind of know B and C by default, and maybe they'll be helpful. So I think spell slots kind of encourage lazy design as well, because you don't have to think about what is the effect of this, like how powerful is this effect. You can think more about, well, they can only do it X amount of times per day before it becomes so expensive that it doesn't matter how powerful it is, because it's going to end up being a bad deal, because there's so many other things that you would rather do with that higher costing piece of budget resource, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's my philosophy on it. I am going to look at the comments down below and see how I did. So, can work as both fancy or flexible? Yes. Hornetico says, I was stuck with inspiration to put out an update for the stunt class. I've got an idea for subclasses to lean into a group vehicle archetype like a tank, and for a Mount Chariot style one. Hey, that's cool, Hornetico. NAC, I don't know if that rant about spell slots aligns with where you're at or not, but I'd stand behind that pretty much in any game. It really comes down to how much power, what kind of powerful effects can your characters do, how soon do they gain access to those powers, and how frequently can they use them once they have them. So that, oh man, I kind of like how this is working. Yeah, so each their own. Everyone balances their game their own way. But, yeah, that's my personal philosophy. And I came to that conclusion after 30 years of dungeon mastering. From Beck-Me up through 5th edition. I didn't spend a lot of time in 4th edition, but I did play Gamma World using 4th edition mechanics. And it was fun. 4E is fun. It just doesn't feel like D&D. So I went and played Cypher System for a couple years, which is also incredibly fun. NAC says, I think all of that makes sense. Personally, I have no interest in exploring spell slots for my own work, but it was nice to hear your thoughts on. Hey, thanks. I'm happy to have opinions on stuff. I've always got an opinion. Right now, I'm just experimenting with filling the rock. Thank you, 2020. Oh, wow, that 20-minute shot by. When you get me pontificating about shit, time flies, man. I guess because I'm having fun. I hope y'all guys are too. I like this style. I haven't had to build such a thick wall before on any of the other maps. So this is a new texturing experience that we're exploring right now, like this deep rock. Other maps have like this close knit sort of look to it, where there's a lot of texture grinding up on each other. But the larger space, I'm really liking how the further away from the traversable environment we get, the thinner the texture becomes, but is still present and identifiable. That just that feels like something that I could sustain in other projects as well. And it's a lot of fun because this is random. I could make a randomizing brush that does something like this, but again, the amount, to your question earlier, I've spent a crap ton of time. I gotta fix my seat and take a drink. I have to spend a crap ton of time on each of these because I have literally never textured a color map like this. Like I've never needed to do that. All of my, like when I'm a DM and using Roll20, and I talk about this off and on, but like this is the level of quality that I provide to my team. Like here's a room, and you leave that room to here, and there's 2 exits from that room. You can go this way or this way. Let's go this way. Okay, it leads into a small antechamber that then leads south that way, and there's a door here. Let's break the door open. Okay, great. That goes down to a tunnel, and it goes that way too. It's like, well, let's go down that way. Well, you hit a trap here. You know? And then if I need to zoom in on Theater of the Mind, I've just got the blank grid that they have in Roll20. And it's like, okay, great. Your character's here. Your character's here. Like, here's the hallway that you guys are going down. It's 10 feet wide. So you're here, and that guy's there. And then we got a Gobbo, another Gobbo here, and we got an Orc here. And like that's, I mean, these would be like shitty tokens. It's like this Gobbo steps up on you and whack, he hits X. Gobbo B runs up and hits O. Orc back here takes a step behind Gobbo to get some cover, and fires over everyone to hit A. Like that's as detailed as I get in my maps, and that is specifically because like I talk about occasionally, I don't want my players ever knowing if I'm just making something up on the fly, or if it was pre-planned. But if all the maps look like that, they'll never know the difference. And I like being able to maintain that uncertainty from them. But a published adventure like this, obviously you need to have like really good looking map assets to help pull the DM into the environment with you so they know what it is that they're trying to depict, but also because these are things that they can actually put on the table to make DMing and playing the game easier. So it turns out I fucking love doing this stuff. So I absolutely, other than it just taking forever, I don't mind the journey. Let's just say that. The journey is worth the steps, 100%. And I'm going to hide that map, that grid again. And God, I like how that looks. I mean, no lies. Really, really dig it. So I got another 40 minutes I can be here. I may end up getting cut out of here sooner than that. Just depends on what's needed of me today. Let's just put it that way. I got things going on, unfortunately. So I'm just trying to get. I said I'd stream today, so I'm trying to knock out the stream here early, so that when I get pulled away later on, I won't end up being a blank slate tonight. And I love being consistent. I've worked hard to establish a schedule that I can stick to on a weekly basis for that consistency that people tend to like on a growing stream channel. Speaking of which, hey, if you're new here to the channel, thanks a lot for showing up. We'll be back again tomorrow morning to continue with Fightercraft token production for the modified Spelljammer mechanics that we have. So I certainly appreciate any kind of liking, subscribing, and additional content watched. Where it used to be that it would take a week or two for me to be able to pick up somebody as a new subscriber, and now it's every few days that I'm getting somebody. The The amount of views I'm getting are jumping 50% every month at this point. The amount of hours that are being logged of people watching is going up about 20% each month at this point. So it's not going to take long for me to be able to spiral up into something, monetizable. So I will literally, once I get monetized with 1,000 followers and 4,000 hours worth of consumed content, I will, every time I log on to do artwork like this, I am being paid to do artwork. And this is, honestly, I wish I'd gotten onto this path sooner, but everything happens when it's supposed to. I didn't have a consistent schedule that I would have been able to stand behind until now. It's just the universe opened up the opportunity, and I said thank you. So here we are. And I used to do a lot of character commissions, like for private parties. And before that, I did a lot of interior artwork for independent press publisher, RPG people, especially in the early 2000s, when the OGL, the Open Gaming License for D20, first got created. That was back when print on demand was almost always black and white. So line art and grayscale images were the norm. And since I don't see color, and the color technology back then wasn't really good, it was perfect for me. And as the industry evolved and globalization evolved with it, colorization became more common as POD became less expensive, and larger file transfer became possible, and digital asset production became common. It became difficult for me to be able to compete on the market at a price point that I felt was worthy of the amount of time that I would invest into it. And it got so bad after a while that I just fell into doing character commissions only. And I mean, $300 to $700 for a commission is okay, but for that kind of investment, the patron has a lot of understandable demand over what the product would be. And the level of customer care that was required to be able to nurse people through what were often their first time commission was a lot of hand-holding, and it became a severe drag on me that I just didn't want to do them at all anymore. And it was about at that time that Ravnica was being created by Wizards of the Coast, the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica for 5th edition. So it was about that time I was like, well, I always dreamed of creating Magic the Gathering art for Wizards of the Coast, and considering how the curve of business is going, it's probably not going to be me making Magic cards anytime soon, because a lot of those people that do Magic cards now are like either really well established or are concept artists that already have a huge following. So Wizards basically just pays them a couple $1,000s for promo pieces that just expands their user base further. And I'm too far behind the curve to really compete in that. So when Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica became open content for people to publish on DMsGuild through OBS, that was, wow, this is probably the only, this is probably as official as I'm ever going to get in making Magic the Gathering art. So that led me to creating the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules, where I could load up those books with as much MTG inspired artwork as I want. And whenever I sell a book, it now is basically compensating me for the amount of time that I spent not only creating the mechanics of the book, but also all the artwork and all the layouts that I did to be able to present those ideas to you. So now with YouTube, I can get with monetization, I can get paid immediately for the art assets that I produce with a paycheck from YouTube each month. And then I get to drop them into a book, and then I get paid for the book. And then I can release the art as stock art for people to also purchase for their books. And eventually, when I get done with all this Wizards of the Coast content, I'll start doing my own Kickstarters. And then I can again get paid up front, and I can bring people on board to help me. It'll be full circle. I'll go back to, if you want to pay twice or whatever, then you can help with design decisions for whatever piece of art's going to be on page 32, for instance. So that is my big brain idea, and it's ironic that it would just lead me back around to having randos be art director again. So I'm considering if that's what I want to do or not. But it's a neat perk for a Kickstarter campaign to allow you to be a decision maker in what's going to be depicted on that page. But I'm not sure how to do that properly to prevent any contests, about, what's the value of this thing? Like, did they feel like they got their $40 worth or whatever it is out of it? But when I do Kickstarters, I could certainly do something like make postcards of all the art and then send them to you as a thank you. That sort of stuff. A lot of fun options there. But that's my big long-term goal. So that's my business plan that I've laid out to you just now. And I maybe, God willing, I'll be able to stop talking about business here for a few minutes, because I get excited about it, but it's not necessarily exciting for other people to listen to what my business plans are. But it does tell you that, again, the reason why I do these streams is to demonstrate for future KS that if I put out a Kickstarter project and they're like, what's the risks to this? It's like virtually none. Here's 700 hours worth of content of me producing books of a similar scale from the same designer that already has all the concepts hammered out, and I just got to spend the time building the book. So the Kickstarter would be basically paying for me to produce the book in real time, just like this. So I'm always the kind of person that likes to, well, I'm from Missouri, if that tells you anything. So that's the show me state. We like to look at the teeth of the horse before we buy it. And so that's kind of my business ethics for the foreseeable future. So I think everything that I'm doing kind of curves into that integrity. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking business. I know it's a real letdown. Buzzkill might be a better term. I don't know. Anyway, if you're an aspiring RPG enthusiast yourself that wants to build stuff, maybe hearing the tech talk about the money and the shit like that, maybe that's actually valuable to you, and maybe I should have more faith in my intuition to guide me into the conversations I'm supposed to be having. How about that, Muse? Gorgeous creature. I really enjoy this process. I want to get in here and I want to add higher amounts of texture into this area. I think I'm going to hit a 20-minute mark here again. God, I hate shortchanging my shift. I like these 2-hour blocks. Like around 140 minutes to 2.5 hours is when I start to burn out. So the length of these streams have been really good for me. It's I'm finding that most people, it used to be that I'd get about 6 minutes worth of watch time, and that was my average per view. But now it's up to 20 minutes. So that tells me that as I continue in this process, people are not only more interested in where the project is actually going, but also whatever it is that I'm ranting about is of higher, like, the information is becoming valuable, which is something that I keep getting cues from the universe about, that information that you can provide to people is infinitely more useful than a product that you can craft. Just so happens that most of my information is about the products that I craft, but again, the products that I craft are basically proofs of concepts. When I build the Spelljammer book, I immediately convert Light of Xeraxis into those mechanics to prove that they actually work well. The mass combat system we're building, we will convert the Dragonlance adventure and board game into those mechanics to, again, demonstrate that the ideas that we produce are effective. And here's a product that people are mostly disappointed in. Here, use this. Maybe it'll be better for you. I'm really looking forward to playtesting that stuff too. But God, the map load on that is going to be insane. That is going to have to be the only project that I'm working on once we do it. Thankfully, the mass combat system is about 80% done. I know that some of you guys have already used it, like Knack and Hornetico. I know that you guys have brushed with it before. So yeah, it works. That's awesome. So that's the hardest part, making something that actually works, and then the rest of it's just like details, but details is like 80% of the work. But I'm excited, guys. I'm really, really excited. It is worth the time and effort to do the lift, to make it happen. Frickin' love it. Frickin' love it. This is me pausing and reflecting. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's too sloppy. I was listening to the Beatles the other day, and it blows my mind how many songs by the Beatles are less than 3 minutes long. It is crazy. Like these quick little ditties that like you could finish the entire song before someone's like says, "Hey, shut up." It's like, well, I'm already done. That really impresses me about the Beatles. Like just they're almost like Hallmark cards that they set the music, you know, like they're that trite. But God, so much of their music is so iconic. They are really just amazing. Just an amazing, amazing band. I rotate in and out of listening to the Beatles and Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Rush. I rotate in and out of listening to classic rock versus like more EDM, newer stuff, you know. And it always, when they rotate that classic rock, when it rotates back into my earworms, it always impresses me just how iconic that music is. It's just amazing. No. Okay, let's get dangerous. First thing we do is we cut trim around the structure. Get back here. I've got the undo button. I've got an undo trigger on my pen. There's a button on the side of my pen. And when the nib gets really low, sometimes I have to rotate the pen to keep the nib working, and instead of just like immediately swapping it out, just like burn it down to a nub on all sides. And that means that sometimes I've got my thumb next to where the undo button is, and then I got things like I do something and it disappears. I'm like, God damn it, stop it! That is some first world problems, yo. They're my problems, and I am my own first world. So legit. But yeah, we're going to run the border here. We're gonna try to do a better job than that. There we go. Now. There is energy moving through me right now. I know not from whence it comes. I just know that it shows up in my heart, and it does a surge. Yo! Boom. Bop, bop. $45 minutes. Okay. I still got another 20. I got my last 20-minute block up. God damn, it's such a short session today. I hate that. But it can't be helped. I got things I got to be responsible and help some serious issues that are going on around the household. So I got 20 minutes left, and then I'll be out for the day. I should be back. I should be back tomorrow morning. There's a mild chance that I'm going to be sleeping over at a hospital tonight. Help take care of some people that are important to me. I'm just waiting to find out what that phone call is. So if I'm here in the morning, then everything is a-okay. If I happen to not show up for stream in the morning, you know that I am taking care of people that are important to me. So, or that, yeah. But if everything's okay, I'll be back on in the morning like I expect. So hopefully everything is a-okay. But I gotta saddle up and bounce out of here in another 20 minutes. Bop, bop. Bump, bump. I love doing this type of work. It's so much fun doing these textures. Aha! Found ya. Boom, bop, bop. Boom, bop, bop. Bop, bop. Yo. Slowly making our way around the wall. We might finish our circuit before the thing goes ping. But we still have like here and all this other bit to texture up and grit like this. I like that though. Oof. Keep at it, Kearney. You can do it. This is exactly why I like to stream, so that I can make sure I keep my ass in the chair and get the work done. Sometimes when Phil's by himself, he procrastinates a little bit. Many times, I honestly don't have time to. So making sure that I stream daily helps make sure I keep my mindset where it needs to be at, and I'm always pushing to like that next thing. What's that next thing I'm excited about doing? What's the next thing I get to do now? See, I just made that thing disappear. Damn it. It's a really good mark too. There we go. But yeah, when you're doing that, when you're doing a large project, burnout is like a severe risk. Especially if you're an artist that's working on a schedule. Nothing destroys creativity like schedules, right? But if you make it part of, like if that routine is a healthy routine that excites you to wake up, like that's why I like doing it so early in the morning, because I like waking up and it's like, if I get my ass out of bed, I can push this thing just a little bit further today. And I'm excited about the projects to the point where, regardless of how much or little sleep I got the night before, I am back at it, grinding the next morning. So, but that's the work ethic that's the exact, can we say it this way? That's the exact kind of work ethic that AI is not encouraging. The more instant gratification you can get for creative assets, the less they're respected, and ultimately the less heart is invested into them, and everything. As the algorithms figure out what is the absolute fave, we're going to see a loss of diversity because there's not going to be any individual expression in it. I'll be a lot more. I will be actually truly impressed with AI that when it creates something like a character, you can be like, I want to see that same character like looking off to the left at 35 degrees while climbing a ladder with the left arm up and right leg down. Like that sort of thing. Like render the same character with these iterative angles. That's when we're going to get to a place where I can create a character asset in the computer and then say, hey, I want to have this guy fighting this, and this, and I can just create all the assets of what this equals and then start rendering out builds on things. That actually is going to be a lot of fun. I don't mind the idea of using AI to take something that I am currently creating and like, hey, texture this thing for me, or here's that final piece. Can you change the angle so it's like looking down on the character at a like a 15 degree, like a change of 15 degrees, that sort of stuff. Like if I'm creating the assets so it still looks like my stuff, but then I can fuddle with it a little bit, I think that's going to be really, really valuable. But I recognize other people are going to get trod on underfoot by the advancement of technology by having all their stuff scraped and not getting any kind of credit, reward, or compensation for that advancement. But so I don't care until it gets to the point where it can modify my stuff, like so I can like do like here, iterate that. And like it'll just be a filter up here that I can mess around with for a few moments, you know? That's the idea anyway. I think we're gonna get there. I know that Adobe is already working on that sort of thing. So, and of course, the vast majority of the money that they make is from creative types, so they're heavily motivated to create an ethical AI learning machine. So I think that's ultimately just gonna benefit everybody. But it's here. It's the tech we've created it, and you can't unmake something. So, without diving into the ethics of it, I'm excited about where the technology ends up being. I think ultimately I'm going to benefit from it. I think ultimately we're all going to benefit from it. But I think people that are artists that put in that discipline to get good at their craft is going to probably be able to make the most out of those tools, especially as the interface moves into an art pen like I'm using right now on my Wacom tablet. Like once it starts moving into that sort of technology, then visual artists, so like the ZBrush, like with being able to use like virtual hand sculpting tools by wrapping your hand around a ball and then manipulating the different pressure points to be able to mold it like clay. Like that shit's super fucking cool. That stuff is cool. And I am very much looking forward to how virtual clay gets develops with this AI stuff as it evolves. Animation, I just locked up, so I'm waiting for that to finish saving. I'm gonna have to restart. I'm gonna have to reopen this. But AI doing animation, I'm super on board with that. Yeah. Because most of AI is computer work now anyway, right? So, all I gotta do is just build you the keyframes and the character models, and then the computer can start animating in the way that they want to. But I've tried animation and nope, too much. I respect people that animate, but I think even animators that animate for a living are really going to appreciate AI helping them with that lift, because again, their ability to like distort shapes as part of movement to get more expression, there's an eye for that sort of thing that has to be developed. And you might be able to like click something to make it happen faster, but you still have to be able to express it well, Anyway, hey, what's up? Chicken Scavenger, I don't know you. Welcome to the mix, dude. Do you think dwarves with shotguns are fair in my campaign? I'm not trolling. Oh, no, is it a 5e campaign? And I don't have a lot of time left, but is it a D&D campaign? Is it 5th edition? And how much damage does it do? And what's the reload rate? In my Eberron campaign, and we were just talking about this on Zerzazod's channel, honestly. It's funny that you would ask that. But in my campaign, I have wand pistols and blasting staves that deal different types of magical damage, like force damage, radiant damage, necrotic damage, depending on who the manufacturer is. But the amount of damage that it deals equals crossbows. Pistol wands deal hand crossbow damage. Blasting staves do heavy crossbow damage, but there's no reload attribute. So you can fire them as many attacks per round as you have when you take the attack action. But they don't do stupid amounts of damage either. So I don't think... Oh, God, this was such a long conversation we had online too today. That's so funny. I really... if you're playing heroic fantasy, having things that can like one-shot dragons isn't appropriate because it's a different genre of game. Weapons that can one-shot anybody, that's a gritty realism style of play, in my opinion. So if you're playing disposable hero campaigns, then dwarves with shotguns makes perfect sense. If you are accepting that your dwarf can get one shot at any time as well, and that's part of your table's culture and part of the fun of the game, like in the 4th edition Gamma World, it takes 3 minutes to make a new character, and then you're up and running. So you can burn through, you can take suicidal risks with your character, and it just doesn't matter, You're willing to take the risk to get the reward, and if it doesn't work out for you, 3 minutes later, you're back in the mix. So it really depends on the kind of game that you're playing. But Chicken has to say 5e and making it out of scrap, and the damage varies from distance. Oh, because it's a spread effect. Got it. Honestly, depends. Well, depending on what other products that you're using, but standard as RAW, rules as written, most area of effect things that deal damage in like a cone effect Like, say, Burning Hands, for instance. A requires a limited number of resources per day. Either you're buying scrolls and burning through them, or you're using, mana or spell slots to trigger that effect. And those those things impact multiple people. So offhand, I would say I wouldn't allow that in my campaign, unless there was a resource mechanic that had a meaningful consequence that could be attributed to what the shotgun is. And the answer isn't ammo is expensive, because expense is something that players strive to overcome. And once they do, it's never an issue again. Once they lock it down, they are donezo. And they can access whatever that thing is forever. Like an 18th level wizard can cast infinite number of magic missiles or an infinite number of shield spells because they have signature spell now. Or is it practice caster? I don't remember the name of it. Anyways, at 18th level, they basically get a first level spell that they can cast as a cantrip infinitely. So, that is a resource that they earned by gaining 18 levels. They didn't get the ability to cast an at-will first-level spell like Burning Hands, which deals a cone of damage and an amount of damage to each creature that's inside of that cone. Or Cone of Cold is iconic, and that is literally a giant cone that deals a shitload of damage, but it's like a 4th-level spell. And maybe it's 5th? I think it's 4th. But these things have significant expenses that go along with them. Action economy can be a viable expense, but nobody wants to pop a shotgun because if you have it takes 3 rounds to load my shotgun before I fire it again, then I'm just going to get a lot of money and buy 10 shotguns and just have a shotgun bearer that's just going to hand me a new rifle. Pop, next. Pop. I can do that twice a round because I have a free object interaction each round. So I can automatically fire a shotgun that's doing say 5d6 damage at 200 gold pieces a pop. By the time I'm 11th level, that is a non-issue. I'm just going to summon an imp that's going to hand me a shotgun over and over and over again, and they're going to spend, the minions are going to spend their action economy reloading the weapon. So, off the cuff, I'd say it's risky. It's very, very risky. I've ran high damage things like that in the past. In 3rd edition, it's been a decade. But it just did not settle well with me, and I didn't like how it spiked the damage in my campaign at all. Might not be the answer you're looking for, but that's my legit response given the experiences as a DM I've had. So, great question though, because guns are such a hot debate, but it's heroic fantasy. The damage supply that you have is supposed to represent your ability to take a shotgun to the face and walk away from it. It's like if the damage is nominal, it's not upsetting. If it's within curve of what you'd normally be able to do with a crossbow bolt or a sword swing under normal circumstances ad infinitum, then shotgun's fine. The flavor isn't the problem. It's the mechanic. What kind of an advantage and what's the balancing factor to that advantage that you're playing out. So, and again, if you play anyone can get one shot at any time, then it may as well just be a save or die spell. I point this thing at you and you either die or you don't. And if that's the kind of game that you enjoy playing, then that absolutely has a place. But 5e out of the box, as written, it's not built for that. Even exploding dice is risky. A paladin can do ridiculous Nova damage, but they have to spend huge spell resources to be able to pop off like that. So it's a power budget. They only have a couple of times per day they can really just hammer you with something. But if I can slot in 8 shotgun shells and they're going to do a 3rd level smite spell worth of damage, then your game has no balance at all. And if you have to rebuild everyone else to be able to compensate for that spike damage, that means that you're eventually going to be spiking the amount of damage that creatures can take, and you may as well just leave it all as it is. I lost a pad in my chair, so I am officially in overtime. I'm just going to take a few more moments here. I can actually give myself a 10-minute timer, and then I got to be done for the day. But I'm going to be back in the morning for a solid 2-hour, unless, of course, I'm at the hospital. If I'm at the hospital, then I shan't be on tomorrow, but you guys will know why. And I'll be back on Saturday morning if not. But if everyone is safe and everything is okay, I will be back on for a 2-hour ship token production tomorrow morning for our morning coffee draw. I love doing this stuff. Beep, 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 beep. I'm looking forward to doing page layouts for Spelljammer on Saturday. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be messing with font sizes for the combat section, so you guys will have a chance to take a look at some of the content that we have there while I'm figuring out what size of fonts I should be using for the headers and subheader lines for the text. And once the ship token, we should finish our last ship token tomorrow morning as well, which means on Monday morning, we're going to start really diving into asset production for actual book content. Like everything that we've done so far has just been basically adventure and like Roll20 content for actually playing in Light of Xeraxis. But once we get the page layout locked down, then we actually get to build like actual visual art assets, like illustrations, charts, tables, diagrams, and that's going to be a great opportunity for me just to really talk about the innovations that we've come up for the Spelljammer system. That is just, I love it. I am really looking forward to getting back into Descent into Avernus, using these mechanics to basically have a convert Descent into a space opera, which will be like ridiculously cool, ridiculously fun. Chicken says, I forgot to include Eclipse Ending. I don't know what Eclipse Ending means. I already got a Goblin Ending, Orc Ending, Lunar Ending, Solar Ending, Elven Ending. What are endings? What do you think should be an ending for the Giants? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the campaign is. Am I supposed to know what campaign we're talking about? Do I know about your campaign? Do I know who you are? I just don't know your name? I'm one of those guys that calls myself Phil Kearney on like everything, so it's impossible for people to misunderstand who I am. But I know there's other people that like have a different username or like nick on every platform that they're on. It's just I'm too old to remember that crap. Almost out of time. Anything in work, the ending I have based off of different genres of writing. What do you think should be a good genre I should do? I don't know. I don't know what the context is. I would need to know more about the campaign and what are giants in that campaign and what does the ending actually look like? You know? Sorry, I can't provide more. I would need a ton more context to understand what I would even be commenting on. Love the enthusiasm though. Thank you for asking. I don't know how to logically answer it. Almost out of time. Got like 2 minutes left. 3:30. Come on, kids. Knock it off. Neat. I like how that looks. God, I love this work. God, this is fun. All right, that's it. I gotta go. I'm hitting save. That's it for the day. I love doing this work. Love, love, love it. Love it. But I gotta stop for now. That texturing is coming along really cool. I think this is gonna look gorgeous when it's done. All right, I gotta go. I will see you guys on the other side. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, consume some hours, check out the Spelljammer stuff, check out the Martial Powers playlist. You're welcome to chew through the other 111 episodes before this one. I'll be back in 11 hours. If everything goes well, wish me luck. If everything goes well and everyone is safe and healthy, I'll be back in 11 hours. Otherwise, I should be here on Saturday. So check in with me tomorrow morning. And I really appreciate you guys showing up. So I might be doing this early like this in the future as well. So cheers.